Hey everyone, we got Shawn, Sav, and Moo, and a very special guest that I'm going to introduce here in a moment for Golf's Perfect Imperfections and Wisdom in Golf. And we'll talk to the good folks at Golf WRX because the stuff we're going to be talking about is really freaking amazing. So we have the CEO and founder of Catalyst, Mr. Bjorn Volterman.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's really awesome to be with you.
Thank you for having me.
Side by side instead of through a screen,
In 3D.
in
Yeah.
3D.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All official.
It's an honor to be here in Las Vegas with you. And we're having an amazing time. We had a fantastic day yesterday. And we're here to talk about this, continue to talk about this amazing product that, the first thing I wanted to say is thank you for doing what you do, because we're having a great time with that product, and a few of our students are really taking this thing to the next level.
Yeah.
And I'm absolutely jealous because like you, I've had some travels this year, and some of them good and some of them a little bit more challenging. And
That's a
we'll
story
talk-
time for later.
yes,
Yeah.
a little story time for later. And let's just say I broke some ribs twice over the course of the season.
Silly.
Why?
Yeah, the first time, you see, what you don't have issues with here in Las Vegas is you don't need winter tires.
Ah,
Yeah, so what we have to do is we take the winter tires off of our vehicles in the spring, and then we bring them down. We have an excavated garage, so we have where you park the cars, and then downstairs you bring your tires. And when I was bringing down my tires, we have a new pickup truck that we use to haul our RV for these two in their competitions and my son in his competitions. And they're a little heavier than usual. And I kind of fell down the stairs with one of them.
Yeah.
I remember winter
And
tires from home.
Yes.
Yeah.
And back in Germany.
Yeah.
So I broke a couple of ribs there. And that kind of put me out of commission for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I traveled with my son to one of his races in the Netherlands. And they were just about ready to, I was just about ready to do my thing. And then the track was near the hotel. So he had his two bikes, and he's got two different seats that he uses. And one of the seats is his low seat. And I get that, I had to ride the bike to the track. It was about 2 kilometers away. And we're getting outside, and it's so bright. And my glasses are on top of my head, right? And I've got my backpack. And those are the kind of bikes that you have to have both hands on, because I'm standing up on the bike, right? So I take my hand off the bike to reach for my glasses, and I went, oh my gosh. And I fell to the side, and I damaged my shoulder and speared myself with the other handlebar and broke a rib at the top of my rib cage. So another 6 weeks go by.
Life is dangerous.
It's incredible,
Yeah.
the things that happen to you just out of the blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the story. And then after that, Riley was selected by Cycling Canada, because he's number 2 in Canada now as a BMX racer. So he was selected to go to Scotland at the World Championships.
Nice.
So my wife and I went out there, and that was a beautiful way for us to catch COVID for the new crop of COVID that just came out on our way home. So yeah,
Check the box.
I'll just check the boxes. That's it.
Good to go now.
So meanwhile, we've had some really awesome experiences with the suit, this incredible EMS technology, and we'll do a little round table right now, and Moo, you can start with how things evolved with you over the course of the year.
Yeah. So since we had our last conversation in the podcast we did, I was seeing some really good growths with the suits in competition as well as performance outside. I sent some data points to Morgan, and I don't know if you shared those with you.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so that was a report that I was using to test out the Clement speed, which is the main focus of the sport. And I was seeing some really healthy increases, 7 miles per hour with just the standard shaft. And then just overall body felt great, every time. Was able to reset after workouts. The soreness level wasn't as high as it was from the initial use of the suit. After that, my body was adapting to the demands of the suit and also doing the workouts that Max put out. Really enjoy those a lot. He's always got great energy. Same with Meredith too, and Maurice. What they offer on the
Yeah,
song.
Mo, yeah.
And it's like what I like about the app as well too is that it offers different opportunities to work on strength and power, but each trainer has a different a vision with the suit and what they want you to gain from it. And I was able to mix it all up to get myself the place I want to be within competition. I definitely see the future benefits of it, like bone density and fast twitch muscle improvement, so that with the small things you do day to day, like going down the stairs, and also just walking on the sidewalk, you catch yourself a lot faster. If you trip and fall, like you take that for granted, as you get older, but you don't realize that you need the fast twitch muscles for those.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't help you on the BMX bike, apparently.
No.
But so
No.
so so let's wind back for a second. So
Sure, yeah.
what are you using, like,
For-
generally to, like, measure your, like, club head speed and ball speed and so on and so forth?
For sure, yeah. So we use Foresight Sports, which is a launch monitor technology that Shawn has used over the past, and it's helped me improve my technique with my swing, understanding ball flights, all the major details that golfers need to know and understand. And it's easy to focus on several parameters, but for the long drive, you just want to be able to swing fast, but also efficiency. And I was using that to see how well I was able to come through impact with easy power rather than
Forcing it, yeah.
forcing it, right? Yeah. So
Forcing slows you down.
forcing you slows you
Absolutely.
down, but it gives you terrible results in
Yeah.
your swing.
It ruins the timing.
Dispersion goes everywhere, right?
That's right.
So, obviously having a good pre-shot routine and all that stuff that golfers need to have to be able to execute correctly help with those sessions. But yeah, for competition, my club head speed was usually hovering around 140 miles per hour, which is decent, but the top guys are upwards to 160 miles per hour, right? So
Wow.
that obviously makes you want to be competitive and be better. So the suit provides that extra edge to
Where
what
you
I'm
now?
looking for.
Where are you now?
Now I'm at 147 to 155 miles per hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For competition.
That's 10%.
10%. Yeah.
Yeah.
For this past 6 months. So like it's been a very healthy incline. Like some days it's like a ebbs and flows, right? Some
Yeah, of
days you don't
course.
feel great, but then it's always going up with a steady increase.
Yeah.
So with the 45-inch shaft, which is what you usually play with, which is the legal length, versus the 48-inch, you get a little bit more speed with the 48-inch. And I'm noticing with the 45-inch, I'm now easily getting up to 138 to 140 miles per hour. So which is huge. Previously, it was like 131 to 138. So now it's when you use a 48, that translates to be a lot faster. So that's
Yeah.
that's where you see the
Yeah.
150s.
The angle and, yeah,
Exactly. There's
the leverage is just much
much larger. Yeah.
larger, yeah.
What was really cool is that over the course of the season, because these two are lefties.
Oh, yeah, you shared with me that you couldn't really get a proper club head and stuff like
we,
that.
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
weren't
that's
getting the numbers from World Long Drive.
Mhm.
And then finally, when they went to the Tennessee event, they had it organized properly, and we were finally able to see Moo's numbers. And I was at home, with a busy season, and I was watching, through YouTube, and my jaw dropped to the ground. He was at 215 miles per hour ball speed, which I had never seen him there before. It was like 202, 205.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden and then I'm looking at the other guys. I'm going, well, they're 212 to 213, 214. And there was just 2 or 3 guys that were above that in the 220s. And that was Martin and Kyle,
Mhm.
right?
Correct. Yeah.
And that was it.
Mhm.
And so, during that competition, both Moo and Sav had just missed the next qualifier by a yard, literally a yard.
Yeah. It's weird in long drive. There is a luck component to it, which is a little bit annoying because you want to have full control over
Mhm.
everything. But because sometimes you could lose a set with a yardage, but if you were paired up in a different set, you could have won it.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there is like a little bit of a luck factor component, but you know, we've been so close throughout the whole season, and you know, we're looking forward to Atlanta and seeing if we can like break through that little last
Yes.
yard.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been tracking your numbers? You said which system you're using?
Foresight Sports.
Foresight Sports?
Yeah.
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 So, how long have you been using it in total? Like, since you started, or for years, or
For years now, but
Yeah.
it took me a while to understand what the software did. So about 2 years. Yeah.
Basically
2 years?
Yeah.
Right. And you were relatively consistent over those 2 years, and this
Well,
basically,
let me put you a little context.
yeah.
He's only been playing golf for 5 years.
Hadn't even looked at a golf club
So
prior
Right.
to
So
that.
the technology has really helped
So
me
the first
evolve faster.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm scratching my head because I've never seen golfers improve that fast
Mm.
ever, right? In my career. And and then it dawned on me one day. I'm looking at how Moo is training with the GC quad, and so the machine is telling him where he's hitting it on the face, how it's launching, what the spin rate is, and you look at the data that you're getting out of that combined with what you're trying to do with your ball flight, and it just turbocharges the learning process.
Yeah.
And so for these two, and then so I helped them in this first 3 years, and Sav at the same time. So
Mhm.
we were working very hard to get Sav on tour. And then after 3 years, I'm going, Moo, at one point, one day, it just came out. And so he used to hit the ball about the same distance as me. And I've always been a pretty long player. And then all of a sudden, he's 3 clubs longer than me, like overnight. When his legs started kicking in and he started really releasing the club, and I'm going, whoa, wait a second. We need to expand on this a little bit, and we should see what his potential is with long drive, because I'd remembered seeing Jason Zuback in the day, and he was the first guy to get over 200 miles per hour ball speed. He broke the first record, the 200 mile per hour barrier. And back in the day, the 48-inch shafts were triple X flex, and very heavy. And he was like he was a pharmacist for a living, and he really does a lot of work in the gym. So he was jacked from the gym. So I don't know what else he was using, but it was unbelievable what he was able to do. Yeah,
Sorry, I'm just laughing.
there literally is a real
I get it.
true blue pharmacist. And so like he's basically, and he won 2, I think he won 6 of the World Long Drives.
Yeah.
And then I remember seeing him one day, and he was like 100 yards longer than I was off the tee. And he came to my home course, and it was one particular hole, it was 400 yards uphill, and I was like, when I really busted one up the hill, I was at the 100-yard marker, and feeling really good about myself. And then he's plugging the ball on the fringe at 392 uphill, and I'm going, well, now that's
different.
a whole different planet.
Yeah.
And then I saw the same thing in Moo that day, and I'm going, oh, wait a second, and now Moo is just blowing that, what I had seen in those days, out of the water. He's now at 215 miles per hour. So in the last 2 years, what this guy has done with the 2 of them, because he now trains Sav, and the 2 of them are just running with this ball, and I'm just sitting back with my jaw on the ground. It's really cool. It really is.
So what I'm hearing is there's a combination of like talent,
Yeah.
coaching,
Yes.
probably a lot of time and dedication, right? You only get good
Yeah.
at something if you do it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Physique,
Yes.
Yeah.
And Catalyst.
you were saying that.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
I've seen-
Definitely Callis has
Yeah.
expedited the process a lot more,
Yeah.
because I see the benefits right away just from using the suit the first 3 months of it, and then the growth that we're now witnessing in competition is just like I don't stress too much anymore about how my body's feeling in competition or before competition. Like I'm confident in what the abilities I have and also the training we put in, and also the data points we're seeing from the foresight helps us see what we're doing to optimize our
Yeah, you
our
get like
numbers.
a tangible.
Representation.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, the one thing that's really cool in your use case, and we have a lot of different sports and athletes that are using our technology.
Yeah.
And one of them 2 years ago was soccer player, like right towards its end of a career, and had a hamstring injury. And he was expecting to basically quit his career. Started to use Catalyst, recovered with that. In the next season, he played every minute of the season.
Wow.
And he
That's
was like,
nuts.
What's going on?
what's going on? He's actually using it also to warm up. So he's doing like very short
Yeah.
warm-ups, like 10 minutes, just like getting your body like really.
Like in that
waking
cardio
up.
setting.
I think he did a mixture of like cardio and very like, strength, like, getting
Yeah.
there. But like,
Right.
especially for soccer players, cardio is very,
Yeah.
very important.
Mm.
But really like getting,
Yep.
waking up. It's like a little bit like taking a cold plunge in the morning. Like your body is just
Yeah.
like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Rather
It's like,
than,
okay,
it's
time
like,
to go.
here
Let's
we
go.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it's very intangible. He says like, I feel better, like, I'm more agile and whatsoever. You probably have to put like 1 million GPS trackers on like
Yeah.
different soccer players to really
Yeah.
figure out like how much are they actually walking, how much are they sprinting, and then you need historical data of the same athlete. It's really hard to quantify.
It is.
But in long drive golf, it's much easier, right?
Yep.
There
Yeah,
is like
for sure.
ball speed, club head speed, there's consistency.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you have your historical data of your GC quad, same as you.
Yeah.
If we would plot them out over time, like there would probably be like a plateau,
Yep.
For sure. Yeah.
and then we come in.
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would actually be very cool. Let's plot that out.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at that if you have that data.
Yeah, we do.
I'll have to. Yeah, we have the data. On,
Yeah.
On the
Oh yeah,
certain
it's
platform.
very very well documented. We actually sent all the data to Cobra to because as lefties, they're forced to use consumer products because they don't make the long drive products for the left-handed players.
Which is like 4 degrees, or what is it? Like, what do you need? 5
Yeah.
degrees?
Different material and then also lower lofts.
That's it. That's it. So the lowest loft that we can use is 7.5 degrees, and the guys are playing with 4.5 degrees.
Yeah.
And he's just just on their coattails,
Yeah.
literally.
Have you
Wh-
tried to switch sides?
He has a good righty swing. I'm not
thought
gonna
of-
lie.
I've thought about it.
Yeah, but the explosiveness is definitely in the left-handed swing.
Yeah.
But he trains regularly in the right-handed swing to match things up, which is in the training part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's also where the catalyst suits come in. From the conversations that we've had, Moo,
Yeah.
is how it balances out the body.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest advantages.
Yeah.
And-
Exactly.
And for a golfer, Bjorn, it's
Major.
like it's a major thing. If you're always hitting golf balls from the right hand side, and you see a lot of the tour players, there's a few Japanese players out there. You see them warming up left-handed. You think they're left-handed, then they turn around and they finish their warm-up right-handed, go out and play right-handed, and they have to do that to somehow offset
Yes.
what
100%.
they're doing.
Yes.
Because they're doing this for a living, but it's not enough.
So one thing that you're going to see in especially the golf-specific workouts, but it's a thing that's happening in all workouts in Catalyst when we design them. People ask me like, should I go to the driving range with this and hit balls with a suit on?
Right.
And my answer is no,
Correct. Yeah.
because you're just going to do more of the same stuff, and you want to really even out your body. So all the workouts, all the exercises that we're doing, there's always a right set and there's always a left set. There's
Yeah.
always
For sure.
a right set, always a left set. And making sure you're really well balanced is absolutely important. It's not only going to help you with performance, because there's the push and there's the pull. Like,
That's
like
right.
you need both
Yeah.
sides.
Mm-hmm.
But also in everyday life,
Yep.
you really have to be balanced to
Mhm.
also not get injured in all
That's right.
these aspects.
Yeah.
And therefore, like I get this question like a million times, like, hey, like, how should I train for this? And oh, your golf workouts are actually not swinging. I was like, yeah, no, they're not, right? And I've seen interesting YouTube videos of Justin Thomas or like other guys like doing like very interesting strength training workouts.
Yeah.
But it's so hard and difficult to like
Right.
get certain muscles like activated.
Yes.
Right.
And that is where Catalyst really shines. And
For
this
sure.
was my original like genesis story, so to say. It's like I have lower back issues, and really being able to like activate certain muscles is really, really hard.
Yep.
And one thing, I don't know if I shared this in my last podcast, but I don't think so, because I just recently realized it. So I think at the time when we recorded the last session, I haven't really started playing again.
Right.
So for context, I started playing in 06, played quite a bit in 07, short season in Germany, right?
We get that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I have people like asking me all the time, like, hey, you want to play golf? It's like, yeah, it's October. It's perfect. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, I got to come. So the, it was like 07 and then a little bit 08. And then I stopped because my then girlfriend, later fiance, now wife, so ex-girlfriend now, is, I said my ex-fiance, and then people were like, what? She didn't play and doesn't play, but now she actually enjoys like going, because she just likes like being there, like, although we still have to work on the swing, but so I had this massive hiatus. And 07 was 5 years before I discovered EMS training. I was 30 years old at the time, and latest at hole 11, I was on ibuprofen.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
Cycle.
Right? So my lower back was just hurting so much I couldn't do anything. So and then I was like, okay, cool. It's like, so it's half, 9 holes, quick, pit stop at the clubhouse, and let's get a drink, let's get an ibuprofen, let's play the second half.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely normal for me, because again, my life was relatively ibuprofen heavy, which now latest, like we learned through later science, is, for example, a testosterone killer.
Yeah.
Like, there's like new science out of France, where like, all these like heavy medications are generally not good, although we think like, oh, like, and we can buy it and people use it like Smarties, right? So
Yeah.
I use it like Smarties or like M&Ms here.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I start playing again. And I think I was at Bali High here and finishing another round. And I just realized all this year, I haven't taken an ibuprofen in any round. So I was like, that's new, right? I didn't even realize it, because I haven't been using these medications anymore in my life after I discovered EMS training.
Right.
So, but it's so far away now from me, because it has become so normal that I don't have these issues. I can sit here for hours and like,
Be fine.
Sometimes when I'm sitting in a car for like 4-6 hours, like because I'm driving, then I'm a little bit like stiff. But I think everybody is stiff, right?
Yeah.
Well, imagine that. And now you can say the benefits are no ibuprofen, better gut, better, so much.
Yeah, it's overall better health.
Yes,
right?
no, totally. I mean, I think also like over the last 10 years, the awareness of like what's good in nutrition, what you should eat, what you should not eat, like how much of what, has changed quite a bit.
For sure.
And the awareness of like importance of strength training versus just cardio is like a lot of people saying like, oh, I need to get my cardio in.
Right.
And the latest science, like, and you can listen to Atia and you can listen to Huberman, like, whoever you, Hyman, whoever you want to listen to. And it's basically like, if you have an hour a week for the rest of your life, spend it on strength training. That's literally where it's going.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's literally use it or lose it on your muscle mass. And the more muscle mass you have, like you said, the healthier you're going to be. If you're tripping, if you whatsoever, like you can catch yourself. And
also the immune system too.
Absolutely.
Is robust when you have more muscle on you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you have like illnesses, and we had some in the recent years. And what you generally see is healthy people got through this. Like there's just a very small proportion of people that got heavily infected. I got it twice.
and
Yeah.
then you fought it off. And then
Yeah,
you move
exactly.
on.
Right. So your ability, like what you invest in your body in health and fitness is not only, and now we're getting away from golf a little bit, but a lot of golfers are a little bit older. So the
Yeah.
time you invest in a healthy body, especially through strength training, to your point on your immune system,
Mhm.
you are saving in hospital.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's like
sure.
that's 3 to 1 or 4 to 1 or whatever
Yeah.
hours, right? So
Mhm.
every hour you spend there, you don't do that, right? So there's this joke. There was a comedian, I can't remember who was it. It said like, yeah, like all the years I spent in the gym, I'm gonna enter the end of my life, but those are the years I don't want anyway, right? So why do I go to the gym? So I'm like,
Oh boy.
That's a
no, not
terrible
really. That's
attitude.
Yeah.
horrible, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
detrimental. But it's literally the other way around. So every
Yeah.
hour that you invest in yourself, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Literally. And the ancient Greek, they already said there's only a healthy mind and a healthy body. And we have customers that literally told us after they transformed their body, I didn't know I could feel this way. I didn't know I could get up this morning. I'm like much sharper. Like, I can really, take on stress differently and so
Yeah.
on and so forth.
Yeah.
So there are so many benefits to good strength and a healthy body composition.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And with Catalyst, it's nice because it's 20 minutes a day. However many times you want to do it per week, right? And
Yeah.
it's a fast and easy way that you can do it in the comfort of your own home, and it's
Well,
right at your fingertips.
What blows people's mind is that 20 minutes is equivalent to 2 hours of working out in the gym
Mhm.
with weights.
Easy.
Yeah. Or 10 minutes is equivalent to an hour, like
Yeah.
however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
But like that, you feel that muscle,
Mhm.
muscle soreness after that workout. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, this was
But
legit.
But only the muscle soreness, right? That's
Only-
the thing that
only.
really, really blew me away
Yeah.
over time. It's not the joints. I have,
No.
for example, very bad knees.
Right,
I have
yeah.
lower back issues. Like I have a lot of joint issues,
Yeah.
but I can go all in and
Mhm.
really train hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's a interesting point on that. One of my students, Brian, he's from Eugene, Oregon, and he's one of the big success stories with the suit. He picked up the suit at the time that we picked up ours, and he was part of our
When was that?
consortium.
Early February. Like,
Yeah,
Last
Yeah, it was
year.
short after PGA show, right?
that-
We
that's
met at
right.
PGA
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
yeah,
So-
it'd be March.
Yeah.
And so before I injured myself, I had gone from 110 miles per hour, and I had now reached 117 miles an hour, which I hadn't done since my 30s.
Yeah.
Right?
You were so happy.
Yeah. You were
Oh,
lit.
dude,
You were
you-
excited.
Lit
when
up.
I mean, I sent it all to everybody. Look what I just did, right?
Yeah.
That was me, and then I got injured, and I literally
I just picture you lying in front of the GC quad selfie, like with the CG
Oh,
quad
yeah.
in
Oh,
the
yeah.
back.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, right? And then Brian gets in there, and he loses 60 pounds. He's now 60 pounds lost. And he came down to, like, we were doing online lessons every week. He's a pretty heavy set guy. And then when he came to our clinic in California, we were all supposed to be there at the same time at Oceanside.
Mhm.
And the WLD had to reschedule an event. And so I was booked solid with my clinics down there. So I still went to see all the folks at Cobra, and I was able to spend some time with the engineers, and I gave the staff some lessons in they got some new training facilities at their headquarters. And so, and then I saw Brian. I saw this guy walking up to the range.
Who is that?
And I'm going, he's probably, going to go use one of the stalls over there. And he says, "Hey, Shawn, how are you?" And then he takes off his hat. I'm going, "No." And it was like, oh my God, he's like melted. And so he did that with carnivore diet.
Mhm.
Okay. And he's telling me, like, with the suits, it's hurts, right?
Yeah.
He's consistently in the mid 300s, and he's never sore. I'm going, who are you, and what did you do with Brian? Right?
What happened to Brian?
Yeah.
And it's like, it was the most incredible thing. And then I could see how much stronger he was swinging the club, and we had an amazing session. He was there for 2 mornings, and we do 2 3-hour sessions. And after the 3-hour session, he'd have a 2.5-hour drive back to Palm Springs, where he's got family. So he'd come down to Palm Springs, do the session, and hightail it back up there. And then he flew from there back to Eugene, Oregon. And we just had an amazing time together. And I just, I can't wait. I mean, my schedule is now going to be a lot more steady come early November for the next 6 months, because I'm booked solid with my indoor golf academy back at the club. And man, I can't wait to post the numbers, because while I was, recovering from a rib injury, I wasn't able to use the suit. And, core is like everything. And then I put the suit on, and my ribs would be vibrating out of my chest. And I'll go, oh man, this is like, and then I had to watch him. We transformed our garage during COVID to a gym, and I'm watching him train in the gym, and he's on the bike with the suit, and he's doing all kinds of things in the suit. And I'm going, man, I got to get back in there, because
Are you back in it already?
I'm just starting again.
Okay.
Mhm.
So next time, just for context, so one of the big benefits that our training system has is you can dial in and adjust literally every muscle group separately. So
Well, how would you have done that? Just to pick your brain. If you got a rib injury.
Yeah, I would have continued training. I would have just deactivated abs, lower back, and lat.
Right.
I would have still used probably packs, but you have to find out if you're in pain or not, depending which rib
Well,
it
I
is.
speared myself here.
Okay,
I
so no
wouldn't even-
packs. No packs that. But you can still do arms, you can still do glutes, quads, hamstrings.
Yeah.
And just be active. Just move a little bit, get activity in. I had a rib fracture when I was younger, so I know how it feels. But didn't know, EMS training and Catalyst yet. So generally keep going, but just eliminate the areas that you're injured in. Right? So what's going to happen is, first of all, your body stays still active. The atrophy or loss of performance in the area that you can still train basically stops. Right? And then over time, you're going to ease yourself into it, and you're going to find out what's going on, what works, and so on and so forth. Also, from a behavior perspective, is you stay in the behavior, right? So I'm using this on a regular basis. I'm still active. I still feel rewarded. So there's no such thing as a bad workout ever, right?
Yep.
So we all know this. In the morning, we're like,
don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so then you drag yourself to the gym, or you drag yourself, and you're, okay, I'm
know
going to
the
do it.
feeling.
And then you get out of it, you're like, man, did the right thing, right? So
Yeah.
that you never feel bad afterwards.
Yeah,
so
you're never gonna
so you're
regret it.
staying in this behavior, and then a lot of what we're
for
doing at
sure.
Catalyst is behavior forming,
Yeah.
right? It's literally behavior forming. It's it's almost the same as you're brushing your teeth, right? It's
Yeah.
yes, so every day you brush your teeth twice, at least I hope so.
Oh, sure.
And now we have electric toothbrushes, which makes it much easier.
And
right? So
water
it's
flossing.
yeah,
Yes.
definitely. I always have these small things with the pick,
Yeah.
this,
Oh, yeah.
they like the bow, they
Yeah.
look like a bow, and
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's I think
Those are awesome.
so the habits are very, very important. So even while you're injured, you still stay in a habit, and especially for athletes who look at their numbers. So if you guys get ever injured, reach out to us. We help you with training plans around this. But
That's
only
really good. That's
deactivate
really
the
good to know, man.
areas. Only deactivate the areas that are currently acute.
Yep.
Right, and the other areas you can still train them. At least you're not losing performance.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what we're seeing in Europe a lot, especially soccer players in Europe, use EMS training quite a bit. Even when they get injured, their recovery time's basically half,
For sure.
because they don't have to get out of this valley of performance,
Yeah.
because they don't drop that much.
Mm.
Because only the muscle groups that currently are injured are basically being put on hold. So that and to be quite frank, EMS training, so TENS units and STIM units, they originated in physiotherapy,
For sure.
right?
Oh, yeah,
So they literally come from that.
Yep.
So we have been using STIM originally when a muscle was the weakest, aka injured. That's really when we used it, and that allowed us to improve the performance of the muscle without an injury risk. So easing yourself back into like performance training
Yeah.
is exactly what you should be doing. And yeah, sometimes like grips are difficult because you're breathing heavy and like you're not
That's
pressing. Like
exactly.
that's the thing, right? But you can also like level that down and maybe
Mhm.
just like stand or like do light squats and
Right.
don't follow the full training plan. We don't have training plans for like injury recovery yet. We're working on an FDA clearance for like actually treating injuries.
There we go.
And
Right.
then
That's cool.
then it's a totally different game on top.
Yeah.
We know how this works yet, but we're not
Yeah.
allowed to do it yet. So it's
Yeah.
so there's just so much
In
more.
time.
There's just so much more there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not far away.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my first introduction to that kind of stimulation was through physiotherapy at school, at university. So I was familiar-ish with the sensation, like we had talked about last time, but having that like full body experience
Oh,
of
man.
it is just wild.
Dude, I compared it to I went to I had the privilege to try out the roller coaster at Ferrari Land. You ever been? to
Yeah,
that
yeah,
thing?
yeah. Abu Dhabi, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I haven't been yet, but
I lost my
heard about it,
voice.
yeah.
On that. I lost my voice. It was just unbelievably harrowing, right? And then when I jumped into the suit for the first time and experienced it, and with Moo by my side, and we were, making the adjustments, and then I got that first jolt. It was just like the most incredible experience,
Mhm.
And I'm going, oh man, I could get used to this,
Yeah.
right?
no,
And
we
it's
literally
like-
hear customers that tell us like I get addicted, like literally
Mhm.
addicted.
Yeah.
Because it's also this like reward that's coming
Yeah,
afterwards.
the endorphin response is
Yes.
pretty immediate, right?
Yeah.
Like every muscle gets lit up, and then you start to feel muscles that have gone dormant for a while. It's like, oh, this is how it's supposed
Oh,
to be.
Yeah.
And you're able to move nice and flow nicely when you
Right.
do small movements.
Yeah.
But this is also why the first times you get relatively sore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's also a very interesting hormone marker. It's very high, very elevated at the beginning of EMS training, and that is called creatine kinase, like CK levels.
That's
like,
right. Yeah. Those. Yeah. I
It
remember.
goes very high at the beginning.
Yeah.
And actually, I got a call from a gentleman friend. He's actually joining Catalyst now, and he said, "My doctor just called me. I'm at the airport in San Francisco, and I'm leaving for Singapore or Shanghai, one of those, something with S in Asia. I don't remember which one it was." And he said, "I don't know if you want to get on the plane." He said, "Because you're about to have a heart attack."
Ooh.
And he's like,
Oh.
"What?" "Yeah, I got your blood work and your CK levels are like through the roof." And he's like, "I feel fine. I feel
Yeah.
perfect. Like I'm
Yeah.
absolutely fine."
Yeah.
So traditionally, elevated CK levels, when nothing else changed, means you have high inflammation in your muscles.
Right.
And the normal, like the thing that the medical world knows is like you're close to a heart attack.
So that's the
Right.
teaching they receive. That's
Yes,
right. Yeah. okay.
exactly.
So that's one of the markers they.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
like one of the markers, right? So
Mhm.
it's a necessary condition, but it's not a sufficient condition, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
it's like it's a marker.
It's a
The other
marker.
the other reason is like if you take a blood test a day after a marathon,
Mhm.
you would have the same thing because you have a
Yeah.
lot of muscle tissue
Gotcha.
breakdown.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
like what you would have.
Yeah.
The reason why this is an alarm is we haven't had really good training methodologies,
Mm-hmm.
and the layman person doesn't train hard enough to actually get to these
Levels.
high benefit moments,
Wow.
right? So it is a marker of this actually works. So we talked to like some guys, like was that like, okay, that means it really does something, right?
Yeah.
Because especially for people that are not fit, it breaks down all the dormant, like basically non-functional muscle tissue,
Mm-hmm.
because this is breaks first, right? So in EMS training and Catalyst, like when you're moving, the resistance is the antagonist, right? So
Mhm.
you're moving a biceps against a triceps, right? That's what you're
Okay.
basically moving, and your abs against your back muscles, like erector spinae and all these, spinal muscles. And what's happening is you have an eccentric contraction, right? So it's like the negatives, right? So for example, if people want to learn how to do proper pull-ups and they can't do one pull-up,
Mm.
basically take a step, get up, and then very slowly lower yourself.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how you learn to get to your first pull-up, right? That's literally what it is. It's very good.
Mhm.
Why is it good? Your muscles that you need are under tension.
Mhm.
you get them into the fully contracted state,
Mhm.
and then you lower yourself, and they basically have an eccentric motion. So
Right.
during this eccentric motion, some of the muscle fibers are ripping at the ends, at the Z lines, like they're ripping.
Mhm.
And when they are ripping, they basically die. So a muscle fiber is a cell that it dies and gets replaced by a stronger muscle fiber. Because after the embryonic stage, we don't build new muscle fibers. We just replace them. So hypertrophy means we are replacing weak muscle fibers with strong muscle fibers, but the total amount of your muscle fibers will always stay the same through
Wow.
your adult
Right.
career. So you're not, when your muscle is growing,
Mhm.
it's not more muscle fibers. It's the same amount of muscle fibers, but just
More.
stronger ones,
That's
Wow.
right. Yeah.
right? So now you have people that don't look like athletes that are really successful in training.
Mhm.
So they have biomarkers like athletes.
Mhm.
So people are like, that has to be a condition because we don't have a positive case for this.
Right.
Yeah.
So that really comes in. So there have been like
Wow.
15 years of studies around like CK levels and EMS training, and that's now a very known thing,
Yeah.
very well known thing. The
Yeah.
initial thought was like, oh, kidney failure is imminent. Like
Right.
never happened. Like
Mm.
literally, like, not
Mhm.
a thing.
We're just
Yeah.
blazing a trail here. Blazing a trail. It's like nobody's been down this path before.
No, literally not.
So with the use of the suit, do you think that from a DNA level, are you awakening that DNA sequence that allows for more muscle regeneration of that? Like say you have a dormant person that's a layman person that's never been an athlete, but then you unlock that athletic side because of the suit.
So I don't know if it goes all the way down to the DNA level. What
Okay.
it definitely does is on the metabolic level, it's definitely doing
For
that,
sure. Yeah,
right?
I can
It's
see that.
absolutely doing that.
Yeah.
And it's also re-educating your nervous system, so you get access. Like you guys know this now, right? You have
Yeah.
access to your body. It's like
Yeah.
you feel like,
Yeah.
okay, like I can use this and that, this and the
Yeah.
other, right?
Yeah.
So and even when you're walking, you're like, yeah, like
The
it's
mind,
almost like
the mind body connections isn't optimized. Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
It's absolutely there.
Yeah.
And in some of our the higher level workouts, like the level 2 and the level 3, and I think we have a few level 4 already. We're gonna, expand on that. It doesn't mean that the intensity is harder. What it means is the exercises get more complex,
Yeah, movement patterns are a
right?
little
Movement
more
patterns
expensive.
are much more complex.
Yeah.
Yes. So you need more stability, and you're
Mhm.
even learning that. So now
Yeah.
you're like, okay, you can balance on one foot, and like you can do
Yeah.
all these things
Yeah.
because you're really, really, really learning how to get access to your body. But coming back to dormant muscle fibers and these levels is you can achieve this no matter where you are in your journey, right? Even like we had customers with hip replacement
Right.
candidates, like they didn't get it yet,
Mm-hmm.
and their hip was slipping out all the time. Their joint was basically slipping out all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and they just did it as a prep. And then the doctor says like, do we still need it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? Because if you get stronger, like your whole body just like stays in place
Yeah.
and doesn't rely on your ligaments. So one of the things why people very often have like back pain is their muscles are not holding the spine in place.
Mhm.
Their ligaments and cartilage has, but that's not built for that,
Right.
right? So now and this is what happened to me, is now my muscular tissue around the spine got so much stronger. At night, I don't get into these really bad positions. So I don't have to roll out of bed anymore. I get out of bed and like, hey,
Yeah. Ready to
let's
go.
go, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the beauty really is like you don't need to be an expert in training or in fitness and whatsoever. It's like literally guiding you through that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So back to your customer friend.
Yes.
What was his name again?
Brian,
Brian.
Yeah.
How's he doing?
he's doing awesome.
How's his ball speed?
Well, I mean, from what I see because when we were there, we didn't have the access to the equipment,
Mhm.
but he's got access to that equipment in the indoor simulators that he uses. So I'll be able to see that come November when we go back indoors, because they go back indoors in Eugene, Oregon as well. So it'll be interesting to see what he's up to with that.
Within one summer.
Yeah, within one summer. So he was okay hitting about 200, 210 yards with the driver. Now he's at least 250 off the tee.
So
That-
I don't have a distance issue. I have a dispersion issue.
Okay.
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
that's easy to take care of.
I did a driver fitting the other day, and like I didn't even have a driver at the time when we
Right.
met whatsoever. So I've never hit that. So they were all over the place, obviously, right? So some hit, some don't. But those who hit, what, 260, 265,
Yeah.
270, and then
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh." And he's like, "You're gonna learn this because physically you're there." right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
But if I compare this to me 15 years ago, I'm like, no way, right? So
Right.
it's just, I mean, golf is, and this is why I'm so fascinated about golf, is one of these activities that you can do your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's beautiful because let's say you were a rock climber or something like that, like something that at one point in time you just can't do anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think at a certain age, like either you really have the fitness gene and like the mindset, and you just
Yeah.
have to do this, and you
Mhm.
know how to be successful, so you find something new.
Mhm.
But generally, like, and I saw this with my family, it's like it was tennis.
Yep.
And at one point in time, you stop, and they didn't replace it with anything. So now
Mhm.
they didn't have the active habits anymore.
Ah.
And then you very, very quickly degenerate. Like, you know, it's
Yeah.
absolutely going down very, very quickly. So I, for myself, have decided to only start things that I'm going to do until the rest of my life. So I picked up jiu-jitsu a few years ago. So I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm picking up golf again. I'm going to do that for the rest of my life. But other than that, I mean, I'm sailing, I'm skiing, like since I'm young. So that's easy.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good, again, strategy for your life and for your activity to like start or continue with activities that have the possibility to really being used
Yeah.
for long periods of time.
And golf is
for sure.
very rewarding in that way. It's something that you continuously have these new benchmarks. You continuously have these new like aha moments,
Mhm.
and it keeps you coming back to the sport. And there's always something to look forward to. It's like it's why we call our podcast what we do is like it's golf's perfect imperfections. Like it's the beauty of golf is in that imperfection. And you know, a lot of people get frustrated with golf because they're chasing for that like perfect swing, that perfect shot all
Mhm.
the time where that doesn't really exist, right? It's like it's the chase that you have to enjoy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And it's also a very mental game,
Yeah.
Very. Yeah.
right? So I think you sometimes see people on the course and they hit a bad shot, and then I immediately can tell you the next 5 will be worse.
Oh,
like,
for
you know, it's
sure,
just
easy.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They lose their
Yeah.
Yeah.
their
And I'm
stuff.
like,
That's
You
right.
have to I used to get really frustrated with myself too, but at the end of the day it's like, okay, well, let's take this as a learning opportunity. Let's actually practice some gratitude because we're outside in beautiful weather for 4 hours playing golf. Like what you can't be upset.
no.
Like you
Mhm.
can't. I mean, like yeah, it's okay to get a little bit frustrated now and then, but not to the point of like throwing your clubs and breaking things. And you know, that's not the kind of people that you want to be around
No,
out on the golf
definitely not.
course.
No.
Like you have to just use it as a life growth tool, right? Like golf is a game of life.
Yeah.
You get to practice your patience, you get to practice, you know, your learning process and how you react to things. And I don't know, golf is just really cool in that way.
Yeah, we're going to have a really cool guest on the podcast on October 30th. He's the hottest thing in sports psychology right now on the PGA
Mm.
Tour. Yeah, his name is Dr. Raymond Pryor, and he's pretty young pup. You know, he's in his 30s, and what he brings to the table is the neurology at the deepest level of how the human machine works.
Yes. Yes.
Because we've learned so much. You look at Andrew Huberman,
Mhm.
we follow him a lot. And, you know, coming back to what Sav was just talking about, when you understand the underlying, you know, workings of what a human machine is, we're an adaptation machine. We're not a repetition machine.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
And
Yes.
if you take the ability of a human machine if you remove the ability to adapt, you basically kill it. So you have to be ready to adapt every moment of every day in what you're doing. And people don't realize that repetition is impossible. It doesn't exist on a neurological standpoint. They took I don't know if you remember, we were talking about that 1 foot putt.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a pro and an amateur doing a 1-foot putt over and over again. And every brain scan that was coming out was slightly different one from the next and never repeated. So therefore, you can't ever make sure of anything. So if you miss a shot on the golf course, what are you going to get upset about? You'll never be able to repeat that bad shot ever again. So
You'll have a different bad
chill.
shot.
Yeah, I'll have a
but,
different
like,
bad shot. Exactly.
It's okay.
Right.
No, I think that's absolutely true. And at the end of the day, looking back, is the ability to adapt made humans the apex predator on the planet.
Absolutely.
So I always like to go really, really far back, right?
Yeah.
Like really far back. And I think we believe human genetics are stable since 70,000 years. I think that's like roughly the number. I think this is when like the Toba supervolcano exploded and human society was like reduced to about 1,000 individuals.
Really?
Yes. So
Ah.
there's a genetic choke point in evolution. So basically, like the whole species got reduced to like a very small amount of individuals.
Wow.
And this is why we are all so similar, right? We only like humans are the most similar species on the planet, right? So the difference, like birds or like even dogs or like cats or whatsoever, like they differ quite a bit. Yes, we
Yeah.
come like a little bit taller, we come a little bit shorter, we come a little bit stronger, we come a little bit like we have adapted to the sun differently, right?
That's right.
But other than that,
I've always
right?
wanted to
So
look
for
like
example,
Moo.
this is the interesting thing is like the eye color is a sun adaptation.
Wow.
So the eye color is actually an adaptation the blue color is an adaptation, where in the northern hemispheres, we have so little sunlight that our vitamin D production is too low. So the blue iris allows more UV light to actually hit
Wow.
the eye or like penetrate the eye and create more vitamin D production. This is why
Wow.
that is, and it's a non-dominant gene. So whenever like let's say father has like dark eyes and mother has blue eyes, like the kid has dark eyes, right? That's literally like how this works because it's such a small group in the Nordics that had adapted to that. This is why blue eyes are so rare, and they're gonna die out like over time because now we are like traveling all over the world, right? But so coming back to like humans really won through adaptation. So for example, we can grip this way, right?
Yeah.
We can do the counter grip with a thumb, which the apes can't. The apes are graping this way.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like this is why we can use better tools. Like there's all like to your point of adaptation, right? This way we can grip
That's
a
right.
golf club differently.
Just
like,
an amazing machine.
Think about it. Like we wouldn't be able to play golf if we couldn't grip this way, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
man, what a bummer. So evolution did a good thing here. No, so but really coming back and to your friend who had this great transition, one thing that he also did is he changed his diet.
Huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So abs are made in the kitchen. You might have heard that, right? So
Yeah.
like yes, so definitely.
Moo's face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Moo's good in the kitchen too.
Right, so, too many details. So I wanna highlight that a little bit. So with his carnivore diet, which by the way, I personally am a big fan of, and there are reasons for it, and you can have all your opinions around it, and that's totally fine. But like the way I approach this is your protein to calorie ratio is great, and we're all under proteinated. So one of the big things is most of our like food pyramids, like the latest one is a total joke, but Fruit Loops shouldn't be on it, and not in the green area. But let's take that apart. Like even the old ones, the biggest issue for humanity was having enough calories. That has been, especially as we grew, right? So we had famines and all this kind of stuff. So we always starch heavy, and because we wanted to get calories, we were solving for calories. We were not solving for protein. But now that we get older, and our life expectancy has massively improved, our body's ability to absorb and metabolize protein goes down. So our protein intake actually has to increase as we get older, not decrease, because otherwise we lose too much muscle mass.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So sorry, I forgot his name again.
Brian.
Brian.
Yeah.
So what Brian did, I don't know if it was intentional, was unintentional whatsoever, he increased his protein intake.
Yes.
So now the muscle fiber replacement was actually possible because he gave his body the building blocks to actually do that.
Which is why he's able to take on more hertz.
Yeah.
His muscles are adapting a lot faster.
Higher frequency.
Yeah.
Not the frequency is the same, but the higher
Oh,
intensity.
higher
Like higher
intensity.
intensity. Yes,
Sorry,
definitely.
intensity,
Yes,
sorry.
yeah. Exactly. So now his muscle mass gets strong. I train in the mid 300s, and people are telling me like, you're nuts. Like literally, my wife looks at me like, you're not. No, but like your muscles get just so much stronger and like
Yeah.
so much more efficient.
Mhm.
And also it's a mental game again. Like what do you feel is like what's the threshold? And that's the
Yeah.
beauty is like it's self-regulating. So everybody finds their own,
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
speed and intensity. But coming back is like this, the carnivore diet really helped him get enough protein. And that's actually one of the challenges of non-meat diets is the ratio of calories to protein. You can still get the protein through pea and other stuff, like
Mhm.
definitely. But it's too many calories,
Right.
right?
Too many
So
calories.
right? So technically,
Mhm.
you need a gram of protein per pound of body mass. Ideally,
Yeah.
an egg has 6. You eat a lot,
Yeah.
right? So like a steak under a pound is not a steak for me. Like
Right.
literally, like I don't even like it's like, what is this? Like on the menu, there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Literally, and but I also eat only twice a day because I intermittent fast, so I need to eat
Right,
more.
that's right.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, we
during
do
that
that
time.
too.
Um, the biggest hack for me was like not needing to find food in the morning because food in the morning is all sugars basically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the
I
other
remember
funny
those
thing
days.
is like whenever I go to the guy who makes to the chef who makes like the scrambled eggs or whatever, and I said I get 5 eggs, and he looks at me like, "Are you gonna get a heart attack?" I'm like, no, I'm not gonna get a heart attack.
No.
It's like
No.
that's all us. So what I really want to advocate for here is look at your proteins, like be conscious about that. And animal protein is generally what our body is needing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because coming back again, we don't have intestines like a bovine, like a
Like a cow.
cow, right? So we
Mhm.
only
Right.
have one stomach. We don't have 5.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We have a short intestine. We don't have 17 meters,
No.
Mhm.
which is about, what is that, 45 feet,
Oh.
right? So that's what their intestines are like, right?
Mhm.
And the last thing for me is all hunters, hunting animals, have their heads in their
That's
eyes in
right.
their forehead,
Mhm.
We-
right? If you look at it, like all prey animals have them on the side because
Yeah.
you
That's
always
right.
need to like figure out
Yeah.
like where's the other one coming,
Where's
and
the
we and we are focused, right? So
That's
where's
right.
the
Yeah.
steak, right?
Yeah.
That's
That's
where we
right.
stuck.
Yeah.
So again, you can have your like opinions and thoughts about this, and there's definitely ways to do it, but it's much harder on a vegan or vegetarian diet. It's much
Mhm.
harder to get especially the essential amino acids. Those are the amino acids that your body cannot produce from other amino acids, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We can exchange them,
Mhm.
but they're like amino acids that are so-called essential amino acids, and we cannot build them our own, so we
Mhm.
have to feed them.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
very important, and you see more and more people are now eating organs again, and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. Like there's
Yeah.
a lot
More
of
common now. Yeah. For
right.
Sure.
It's really coming back
Yeah.
because of these aspects.
Well, on
Yeah.
the other standpoint too, you obviously know about my food allergies from
Mhm.
the last time.
Yes, yeah,
And from all of the plant-based allergies that I go through, I'm going, well, why do I put up with that? I just go straight carnivore, and I'll never have that problem. And I'm seeing so many more people,
Yeah.
on YouTube, like Jordan Peterson, his
Mm-hmm.
daughter,
Yeah.
all these, and I'm telling you, I mean, in Canada, one of my students, I was suffering through a migraine at the time, and she says, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I just popped the Zomig, and I'll be fine in a second." And she says, "Have you had your allergies checked?" I'm going, "I'm not allergic to anything." And I used to, go when you go to the restaurant, you hear somebody saying, "Yeah, do this, do that, and hold this and hold that." And I used to, and that used to annoy me. Right now, I'm one of them. And she sent me to this guy who's 81 years old. He's an MD and had not written a prescription in 20 years.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
So I go see this guy. He's got a 6-month waiting list. And he exposes my back and gives me the solution, all this. He says, okay. After a half an hour, he comes back, says, yeah, no more potatoes for you, no more garlic, no more onions, no more strawberries, no more grapes. You're allergic to every grain in the book. And I'm going, what the hell am I going to eat? Right?
Meat and fish.
Right. He says, all the proteins are fine. And that, right? So now I'm getting flashbacks
Mhm.
listening to you and,
Yeah.
and going with Brian, and it's all coming back to me. And so if people, and then what happened? I enlisted my whole family. She was on the list. She had to wait 6 more months. He passes away.
Mm.
And then I'm going, well, it should be easy to find another allergist. They should be growing on trees.
Mm-mm.
Could not find another.
Yeah.
This is the city of Toronto,
Yeah.
okay? 10 million people.
Yeah.
The MDs and the medical profession do not want you to know this. They don't want you to know what you're allergic to because all
Or
of
maybe
the
they just
drugs-
don't know,
A lot of them
Well,
don't know too. Yeah.
right? I mean, it's like I always come from the place of people have good intentions. I mean, path to hell can also be paved with good intentions,
True,
right?
Yeah,
true.
But like, you know, it's like I always assume good intentions.
Okay.
And I think people, when you're taught something and you've practiced it for a long period of time, that's your truth, right? That's
Mm.
literally your truth, right? And if you've read all these studies that said red meat causes cancer,
Mm-hmm.
then you're afraid of red meat. Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the way these studies worked were, it was an elimination diet, which, by the way, is, I would recommend this to anyone. Like, you know, literally eliminate things and see if you're doing better or worse. It's like generally a good strategy.
Mhm.
So when people cut meat out of their food, they felt better. What kind of meat did they eat in the first place?
Right.
Like, sorry, if you have like really, really fast food meat that's full of antibiotics, that's full of growth hormones and whatsoever, of course you're going to feel bad. Of course you're going to have bad skin and so on and so forth, right? So I don't take a skin product at all, ever. Like literally not. And it's like you just eat good stuff because with bad meats, like there's just a lot of poultry is really hard. Like
Yeah.
finding good chicken is really hard because there's a lot of antibiotics like in chicken because they're being held like very close together.
Yeah.
Same as with eggs, and like eggs are easier now because like they're free range and whatsoever eggs. But the actual food is not the problem. It's like all the stuff that comes with it.
Yes.
That's right.
Right. It's like, that's really the challenge.
Mhm.
No, so coming back is like protein heavy is important because we solve with Catalyst, we literally solve the strength training topic for a lot of people. Like for athletes, we're an add-on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
we help you guys with, you know, like you don't quit your gym, right? But
Yeah.
but it's an add-on, right?
That's an add-on,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I, for example, like I can't lift, so I don't lift.
Right.
And I haven't lifted in 8 years, probably 8 years now. And but what I still do is I go to the gym and I do push-ups, pull-ups, whatsoever, because whenever I'm in the suit, I'm in work mode. Because okay, what I'm gonna do, like this could be better. Like so it's never a workout for
Right.
me, and I want some time for me, for myself as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So they're like push-ups, pull-ups, like I go for short runs and basically like so the Murph is kind of like my workout, right? So that's literally like doing Murphs. And then half Murphs when you have less time and so on and so forth. Because doing Murphs all the time is a bit hard. So solving fitness for people, it's an add-on for athletes. It's an add-on for like people that already work out a lot but want to do more. So for example, for my wife, CrossFit, runner, like, you know, all this kind of stuff. But she says like, I want to do a little bit more like lower body stuff, like glutes, hamstrings, you know, loves her Catalyst on the go. When we're
Yeah.
traveling, loves her Catalyst, right? And really stay consistent with your workout. That helps a lot. And then with elderly people, especially like, you know, I don't know, the golf population is generally like, you know, on the older age,
It's
Yeah.
only getting older, yeah.
right? It's only getting older. If you want to keep your sport, I'm not even saying get better at your sport. Like, if you want to stay in your sport and you want to stay where you are for like the next 10, 20, 30 years,
Yeah.
you need to work out.
Yeah.
You
100%.
absolutely need to work out.
Yeah.
Just and in America, you're karting all the time, right? In Europe, we're more like pushing.
Yeah.
Right? So like we're actually
Yeah.
walking 5 miles, like doing
Yeah.
a round of
Exactly.
golf.
Yeah.
But it's also like weather related, right? It's so hot, and you know you need a.
That's true.
Well,
Um,
our club is huge on walking.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
We
We
have-
have a lot of walking.
We have
members.
1,200 members, and they only have 60 golf carts to service 1,200 members. So that's how much we walk at our club.
So you need 2 per flight times, what is it, 18 flights or whatever? Like how many flights are on the? Actually, I've never thought about it. How many?
We have 36 holes at our course.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
how many? So if you have an 18 whole course.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How many flights are actually on the course at the same time? Is it 18 or is it more? Because they're basically like playing up on
Yeah.
each other. Like how does it
Usually
actually work?
about 150 people at a time is like fully loaded golf
So
course.
how
When
many?
they do a shotgun, it's about 150.
Yeah, because if you do a full shotgun, you can have 2 groups per hole, so 8
Yeah.
people on a hole.
Yeah, there's
at a
gonna
time.
be one on the green and one teeing off.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it. Okay, cool.
So,
Yeah, so but coming back is like, and then you have to work out, you have to stay, right? You have to
Mhm.
stay
that's-
active,
That's
right?
one of the things that attracted me to your product in the first place. Is when people asked me in the past, because I'm a golf expert. I've been teaching this game 38 years now, and how do I work out for golf? I
Mhm.
said, well, golf is a full body experience
Mhm.
from the ground through the legs, through the core, through the shoulders,
The whole chain.
the whole kinetic chain. So find yourself a good trainer that's going to give you a program that's going to light up the whole machine.
Mhm.
And then I saw you guys at the PGA show, and I started listening to you, and I'm going, oh my gosh, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for, like my whole career. And here we are. We're
Yeah.
just it's right away, just from our first experience, and since February, it's been nothing but positive. And
I'm just always
I'm looking forward to the next chapter.
I'm just always blown away what we're able to, like, certain use cases, because we basically haven't designed it this way, right? So
Mhm.
Right.
it's not a purpose built for golfers or something like that. We've just fundamentally solved full body strength training,
Yeah.
right? And then there's a million use cases, right? There's a rehab use case, and there's a prehab use case, and there's a golfer use case, and there's
Yeah.
a special forces use
I mean,
case, and there's
right.
like athlete use case, and there's a throwing use case, and there's a kicking
That's
use.
it.
It's just
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just so fundamentally there.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a little bit like my toothbrush example earlier, right? Who's the toothbrush for? For people with teeth,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
What is Catalyst for? People with muscles,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And then what are you
Yeah.
using their muscles for? It could be a million things. You could be a skateboarder, you could be a whatsoever. Like, thing from earlier, just as an idea. Like you said, you love the Ferrari roller coaster.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
So this year for my birthday, my wife wanted to give me a gift, and made me a gift, an experience. If you really dial it down, I would really question my wife's intentions, but because at the end of the day, she wanted to shoot me out of the sky.
Oh,
So we did this
skydiving?
air combat topic, right? So
Whoa.
it's basically,
It's
you know what
exciting.
Red Bull Air Race is, like these like super
Oh.
agile. Okay, so
Yeah.
you get a
That's
plane
sick.
like this
Yeah. Yeah.
with a pilot, with a pro pilot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You don't have to fly it yourself. Like
And
we
about-
hardly survived
and
that,
about
right?
a dozen gravel.
Yeah. So they go up to 18 Gs. These
Right.
devices. They weigh 600 pounds, have 300 horsepower.
Mhm.
They're carbon fiber, the most agile plane on the planet.
Yeah.
It's what Tom Cruise and his team used, like, to basically prep the actors, like,
Right.
for
Oh,
the
wow.
for the FAT.
Yeah.
So you get into the sky, and you literally play laser tag in the sky.
No way.
And you're trying to, like, find each other. Like, okay, so we get up there, we go over to the Red Rocks, which is, by the way, beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah.
They fly us through the mountains, like, literally, like,
That's sick.
Wow.
it's, sorry, forget the roller coaster. Totally forget the roller coaster. It was absolutely crazy.
yeah. You just put my roller coaster to shame.
We no. So I warn you, because so we cut this experience short at one point in time because we couldn't take it anymore. We were just throwing up, like, right,
Oh, yeah,
left,
yeah.
side,
Oh,
turn,
yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
I did a few barrel rolls and a few loopings myself, and then
Oh,
I said,
wow.
like, I'm done with this. My wife already, like, quit a bit earlier, and she said, like, no, I just want to go home. And then we quit the lunch and we quit the dinner, and, like, next
Yeah.
day we were driving to Palm Springs, and there's this, like, there's this path. You can take the freeway and you can take the way to the desert.
Right.
And the way through the desert has all these wadis, right? And, like, we're going up and down, up and down. My wife still says I can go slower. That was like 24 hours after we did it. She was
Oh
still
my gosh.
nauseous.
Yeah.
So if you ever want to have the team is awesome. The people are awesome. It's like, if you really want to have a roller coaster experience, I would say, but still, my wife wanted to shoot me out of the sky on my birthday, which I'm like, right?
Well,
Interesting.
there's got to be a way for them to, hey, okay, you may not be air sick, but the vast majority of people that you're going to have on that plane are going to be air sick. So there's got to be, hey, do you get air sick? Okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
You're going to get some great thrills here.
The challenge was not even the loopings. The challenge was it was a relatively gusty, windy day. And because
Oh.
this thing is so agile and so light, like every
so
gust
small,
is
It's
like
like-
10 meters in each direction. Like
Oh.
literally, it's just
It's like being
it's
on a boat.
turbulences are that's
it's-
the roller coaster in itself. Like
Yeah.
even before we started doing all the crazy stuff, we were like,
like,
Yeah.
uh-oh.
and you're literally like, and the thing was too short for me, and like I
Yeah.
was like cramming in there. It was like
Aw.
it was just fun.
It's
It
like
was
a
just-
go-kart, but in the air.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
That's
totally.
great. You would Moo would like that a lot.
Yeah, that sounds like my kind of jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get seasick, and now with commercial flights, the flights are always pretty decent, but when they're calling for turbulence, I'll take a little Gravol just to make
Mhm.
sure.
So how many of your customers are using Catalyst, or of your
I would say
students?
I would say at least a dozen of them right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So we I'm looking forward to some feedback from some of our students down in Mexico.
Mm. Yeah.
And just to see, and I'm wondering too, because soccer is huge down there, and
Yeah.
they're heavily involved in that sport.
Mm.
So it'll be interesting to see if they're moving forward in that direction.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
But I mean, we're, as far as our community is concerned, like I can't wait to just to have my regular schedule, because this year's schedule is really like off the charts. Coming out of COVID, yeah, and we did a lot of traveling, and I started doing a lot of on the road coaching. We're doing clinics again on the road and things like that, and I'm really looking forward to some stability, and I want to blow past that 117. I want to go back to 120.
Oh.
If I can get to 120, man, it's gonna be awesome at age 58. Like I'm hitting the driver better
Who's
at
58?
age 58. Me,
That's okay.
I'm hitting the driver better at age 58 than I did when I was 18.
Yeah.
So it's so if we add what we're building into, if I get caught up to these two,
Yeah.
how fast is it going to take me to catch up? Like I
Hmm.
lost 4 months,
Hmm.
so we need to.
Pretty fast. I think.
Let's really look into this. Yeah. So that's the other beauty, right? So the early results that people are seeing, like no matter like you as an athlete, or you as an athlete, like okay, great. You as my body remembers how it used to be, or even someone like Brian.
Yeah.
Yes, got it. Like
Mhm.
Brian, probably never really fully worked out on that level.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But then very quickly, like, okay, this works, right?
Mhm.
So one of the big issues that we generally have with fitness is people expect to not be successful with it because they've tried so many different things, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you interview someone and ask them like, hey, what did you do? It's like, oh, I tried this and that and the other and like something else, which basically is a list of things that have not worked for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always look at things from a behavior perspective, and this is how I, identified the underlying technology as a game changer, and built the product out of it that was then like usable and like portable and personal and so on and so forth. It was the underlying technology has a behavior change aspect because the effort to output ratio is so much better than everything else that we ever had. Because
Yeah.
we literally have not invented new workouts in 3,000 years, right? We're still lifting, we're still running,
Mhm.
swimming, wrestling.
Yeah.
Olympic Games look the same.
Yep.
Skateboarding got added, pickleball, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So now, when people say like, no, okay, oh, this is like expensive. Like, what's expensive? Like, okay, $89 a month. They think that's expensive. They spend more on booze that month, by the way, right?
Yep.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, but you know what you're getting,
Mhm.
and you're always successful with it, right? You have
Yeah.
two drinks, you're success. Like whatever success means in that moment,
Yep.
is like
Mhm.
you're successful with it. But because in our days and in our histories, personal histories with injuries and time and life happens and so on and so forth, we don't expect a new activity to really significantly add value.
Yeah.
And this is why every investment in fitness feels like expensive.
Yeah.
But then you have people who are into sports. They spend crazy amounts of money, right?
Yeah.
So for a person who does CrossFit and pays $250 a month on just going there, they add their yoga classes and their sauna things, and then they have a membership. Like some of them have an Equinox membership on top of it, and then they have like 5 apps on their phone. And like for them, it's easy because they know what they're getting out of it,
Yeah.
right? So once you're into it, right? And then you start like biking, and the bike. I learned the other day that 7,000 bikes are like cheap. So I thought that was a lot. Now it's like
Oh, yeah.
more like 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
go up. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So the expectation of success really determines what you're willing to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you go on a holiday to like, I mean, in March we went to Fiji, which was one of the most gorgeous, beautiful experiences, but especially from the people. The people were so nice. If you ever have a chance, go.
Yeah.
It's like literally everyone asks you. I'm doing commercials here for so many different things. So they ask you like, "Is this your first time on Fiji?" And we said yes. It's like, welcome to our home. And that's literally the Uber
Wow.
driver and the guy on that. Literally, that's the notion. And they really want you to be there.
Yeah.
It's like beautiful. It's absolutely amazing. So when you're going, you're booking an expensive trip because you're expecting a great outcome,
Yeah.
right? It's going to be amazing beaches and the food's going to be good. It's going to be nice and going to be offline. Didn't happen. SVB bank crashed, but okay. So it's like all these things. But you have a high expectation, and then you're willing to invest
Yeah.
or consume whatever that is.
Yeah.
But with health and fitness investments, because 80% of the population have not been successful with them, it just feels like a waste of energy and a waste of time and a waste of money. But now what we see with this technology is people do 1, 2, 3 workouts and they're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And so you quickly have a result, right? So you not have this 6-week falling off the bandwagon in February after you have your New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
So
When
you
the
don't,
gyms fill up.
right? You don't have that. And another interesting thing that I hear often is new customers tell me that their friends are asking them, what are you doing? Before they tell them they have changed something. Because it's visibly different. Their posture is different, the way they move, the way they behave, stuff is so
Like
different.
unrecognizable.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So people are like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
and they're proud about it because they earned it. Because
Yeah.
yes, it feels like it sounds like a hack.
Yeah.
But you guys know this, right? You're earning it, right? So
Yeah.
like you're going through it. You're really fighting and you're really earning
when
it.
when a student, texts me or leaves a comment on the YouTube page, and they go, "Hey, my buddies are wondering what the heck's going on. I'm hitting the ball so well," and it's just that's the greatest
Yes.
feeling
Yes.
ever.
You get external validation.
Yeah,
That's
it's
right.
like,
Yeah.
wow, everybody's really noticing the improvements in me,
Yeah.
right?
And you're proud about it.
Absolutely.
I always say like, so Brian,
Yes,
right? So now he earned it.
big time.
He could have lost 60 pounds
Yeah,
with the liposuction,
Right.
but he wouldn't feel proud about it, right?
that's
So
right.
it's such a big difference, right? It's both
Huge.
like the numbers are the same, but the level of self-esteem, the level of accomplishment, and I want to keep doing this. I want to do that. And now sometimes I call this like it's almost like a gateway or entry drug into a healthy lifestyle. Where it's like, okay, if I can do this, okay, what's next? If I can do this, we have people text us all the time, right? So they ask for nutrition help, they ask for like hydration help, they ask for like these kind of things, because now Catalyst for them has become a trusted brand because we actually fulfilled on what we promised.
For sure.
They're like, okay, I'm successful with this. These guys know how this works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at one point in time, we probably have to expand our offering and at least like work. We're going to collaborate with like other brands together, which we think like you're the right in this area and this is a good brand in that area and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're earning it and you're successful is such a, and I'm betting Brian is not ending here. like he's really gonna get on a journey, and
Yeah.
in 2-3 years, you're gonna be
It's
like,
so inspiring.
yes,
Yeah.
So he's inspired me big time.
Yeah.
And that's gonna launch me, relaunch me even harder and
yeah,
faster into what we're doing. And now that he's basically confirmed, and you've confirmed to me that the carnivore diet is where I need to head to.
it's a way, right?
It's a
So
way.
so it doesn't have to be 100%, right? So
I get that.
So I'm not a fan of anything extreme, right? I think
Me
everything
too.
needs to happen with moderation.
I need balance.
Yes, no, absolutely, because so
Well, I'm gonna give it a good try, though. I'm gonna
yeah,
give
go
a
for
good
it. So
try.
so I have a meat delivery service, and I literally say, like, especially after stressful days, my favorite is just, and I have this overhead very, very hot grill.
Mm.
So it's not like a gas grill, it's like basically a ceramic overhead grill. It's like 1600 Fahrenheit or something like
Wow.
this, right?
Oh, wow.
It really sears well, and I sous vide my steak before. So it's very easy for me, but it always comes out perfect.
Yeah.
That's for me the ideal meal after a really stressful day, because I don't feel full, I don't feel like bad or whatsoever. But then I add some carbs intentionally, because after carbs you can sleep really well. You have this carb coma. So you have a really good night's sleep.
Okay.
So get your carbs at the evening, then you have a good night's sleep. If you have carbs at lunch, you have the afternoon is basically gone. I can't work after
Yeah,
that.
true.
So and your body needs carbs, right? So just cutting out carbs 100% is also not good,
For sure.
because
The glycogen levels are essential for your muscle contraction, and that's where the energy, you need to be able to take on the suit's demands, like the
Okay.
stimulation, pretty good.
Yeah.
So you got to be smart with that as well.
yeah. So everything in moderation, right?
Yeah,
But
that's
right.
like,
Yeah.
where's
It's
your
like-
moder-
I
where's,
feel
where's
like
your
I'm in class right now.
It's good.
I mean,
Yeah,
some
everything
of
in
us are doing this for a
moderation.
living.
Never too old to
But
Yeah.
one thing that Brian has also done very well is be consistent 3 days a week with the suit,
Yeah,
which
100%.
is important. Because you talk
Mhm.
about behavioral patterns, that's the key point, right? So if you're consistent at least, or disciplined for at least twice or 3 times a week with
It's a
the suit.
conscious decision,
Yeah.
right? Like it's something that you have to get yourself to do. It's not going to be like automatic right away. Like
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
building a healthy habit takes time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. But everything in life, right? Brushing your
sure.
teeth for a week and then not for a week is like also not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah.
right?
No.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to see that.
Yeah.
yeah, consistency matters,
Mhm.
and in many forms, discipline, right? So
Yeah.
like have a certain discipline and have a certain rigor in your life,
Mhm.
and you will see that it will show up in your relationship. It will show up in in your health. It will show up in your job, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
Mhm.
The other thing that I think is an interesting perspective in terms of consistency and so on and so forth is, so one of my major focus points, like as a behavioral economist originally, is game theory, right? So we game things out, like we
Mhm.
can look into the future and have probabilities on certain things and so on and so forth. And just very fundamentally, there are 2 types of games. There are finite games and infinite games. So finite game is, let's say, chess.
Okay.
By the way, golf is also a finite game. But let's say chess. Like, you have known players too. I know who I'm playing against. You have known rules, and you have a known outcome,
Mhm.
right? So if this happens, and I check your king, you're out. Like that's literally what's happening, or like, how do you call it? Like hit your king or whatever. Like I don't
Checkmate.
know. Yeah,
Topple-
checkmate or topple.
topple it
Topple.
over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I learned this all in German and haven't played in a few years, but at least not in English. So, but then there are infinite games, right? So infinite games are games that have known and unknown players, because there's always players that can join.
Mm.
Mhm.
You have known and new rules and unknown rules, and the goal is not to win. The goal is to stay in the game. And there are interesting, historical examples, and the classical example is a little bit dry, but I'm still going to use it because it's the classic example. And it's the Vietnam War, where we tried to win, and we played a finite game. We thought like there's a moment, and when that happens, we have won, and then it's all good.
Mhm.
But if this is your country and you have someone else in your country, you're just dying to stay in the game. So they played an infinite game and just waited until we didn't want to play anymore. So if you are having a strategy that doesn't fit the game, you're always losing,
Yeah.
right? So if you have a finite
Ooh.
strategy in an infinite game, you're losing. So now let me bring it back to where we are here. We have historically always had finite strategies in health. I have a 6-week diet and I'm going to lose this. And I want to fit into my wedding suit. Okay, by this time I have to achieve this. And it's bikini season or, whatever, short season, right? So I need to be in shape in 6 weeks to do this, or in 8 weeks to do this. Or in the next 3 weeks, I have to lose what I gained over Christmas.
Yeah.
Wrong strategy, right?
Yeah.
Because health is not to win, it's to stay in the game. You want to stay healthy. So what you
Yeah.
have to find is what works for yourself and what is sustainable, because you need to play this for the next 60 years. So when
Yeah.
people tell me like, oh, I need to get ready for my wedding dress or my wedding, whatever, like I want to look good at the pictures. It's like, you don't want to look good at the picture. You want to be healthy for your children and for your husband and for your wife and for your whatsoever, whoever is like, in a
Grandkids.
family for the next 60 years,
Yep.
right?
That
So-
rings a bell for me.
Right? So you really have to have a different mindset around this. And this is
Yeah.
why when you are looking at advice, the question always should be, is this sustainable? And
Yep.
I don't mean sustainable in terms of environmental, it's like in terms of behavior.
Yeah.
Can I do this for a long period of time?
For
And-
you personally.
Yes, for me personally, does that work for me?
Yeah.
Right? And for example, I found that this EMS training worked for me because I don't have to lift. Great. I don't have time. Great. So I did this in the studio in the first place. So I was sustainable, like,
Mhm.
doing this every Monday at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So that worked, right? And then it formed a habit, and then other things got better whatsoever. And at the end of the day, I kept doing this. Just now it's my own thing, but that's sustainable for me. Or I have this 30-minute push-up, pull-up, like short run routine whatsoever. And even when I'm not traveling with my suit and I'm in a hotel gym, most of the time I can do this. By the way, I found out that most hotel gyms, people don't do pull-ups because the pull-up bar is basically like 2 inches below the roof, the ceiling,
Oh.
right? So when you pull yourself, you
You
always
can't
hit, like
even,
you
yeah.
can't even do this, right?
Yeah.
So, but what I'm saying is like something that's sustainable. Intermittent fasting for me is sustainable.
Yeah.
Coffee in the morning and 2 meals, sustainable.
Yeah.
If you hate meat, carnivore diet is not sustainable for you. That
No.
makes
Yeah.
no sense. Like it can be as healthy as you want. It's not sustainable for you.
Yeah.
So what I'm really advocating for is build healthy habits that are sustainable for you.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not discussing if I'm going to brush my teeth today.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So if there's a day in the week that works for you, that you can carve off half an hour, put it in your calendar.
Mhm.
Saturday morning before church, I go and do my catalyst.
Yeah.
Or after church, wherever it is, but have it as a fixed, place in your time.
Yeah.
Because then it's not a discussion is, oh, I don't have time for this. You have time for everything else,
Mm-hmm.
right? So find healthy habits and play an infinite game. Stay in the game.
Yeah, that really resonates with me because a couple of years ago, a few years ago now, I ended my soccer career at university, and I felt like I needed just like a break from all of the gym and the this and the that because I had spent
Oh my God.
23 years of my life dedicated to soccer almost every day of my life, and I just needed to like shut off for a little bit. So I gained a little bit of weight, and it got to the point where I was not happy with myself, and my mom and we at the time didn't really know what the solution was to feeling better and losing weight and that kind of thing. So we both hopped on Weight Watchers, which was a super great short-term fix. But once it got too consuming mentally, where you're counting your points all the time, this and that became unsustainable for us. And obviously, when you go on a diet for a certain amount of time and you come off of it, it comes back on, and you gain the weight back. And so I've really worked hard to try and eat more intuitively, which has been a very difficult mental challenge. But now it's, a habit, a healthy habit that I'm forming, and I can kind of like get my bearings and not feel guilty around certain things. And it's something that you have to really practice, and it's not always easy. But now, because you can so easily fall back into, oh well, I'm just gonna do this like quick fix, right, and like get back to where I want to be. But you have to think about it long term. Whereas, yeah, sure, a quick fix diet will get me back to the way I want to look. But at the end of the day, long term, it's
Yeah.
going to be another loop, right?
Yep.
Which is super difficult. And I find on the female side of things, when you incorporate all of the hormones that we have and like our cycles and all that kind of stuff, it is just, it can be such a frustrating, confusing space
Absolutely.
for us. And like I see Moo, you know, he's just like, it's most of the time very easy for him to be like, oh, like I can do this and I can do that. And his mindset around it is really great for him. And I totally understand like his perspective on it. And sometimes I'm like, dang, I wish that could, I wish it was that easy for me, you know? But like he teaches me a lot of stuff because I don't know, he's so matter of fact about things where I can overthink very easily. And so he really helps me
It's more cut
build.
and dry, and
Yeah,
and
but
and it stops the.
yeah, and he helps me build those healthy habits and, you know, gives me those reminders. So having somebody in your life that can help you alongside is super important.
Absolutely. So when you, for example, start something, do this with your partner,
Yeah.
right? Because if your partner is your buddy,
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah.
If your partner's de facto working against you, really bad, right? It's really, really hard to figure that out.
Yeah.
And they're not actively working against you, but if they are doing like great breakfast all the time and you're trying to fast, it's just not helping, right?
Yeah.
It's just really not helping.
Yeah.
No, so back to your point is especially with women, and I'm very excited in early November. I'm speaking at a conference in Florida, and it's the audience is aging women, and that's it's a big topic for me. Women are looking at the number, which is weight,
Yeah.
and they technically shouldn't.
No.
I mean, you should manage your body composition, but one of the things that Weight Watchers and all these restriction diets basically do is they're calorie restriction diets.
Yep.
And you lose healthy body mass. That's like
Sure.
literally what you do. Like you basically burn through your own muscles. Like
That's
you,
what
you-
happened to
right?
me.
It's
Yeah,
like
I was
horrible.
concerned for a bit when you're on it because like I noticed the difference in muscle density was going way down.
And
Yes.
I look back on
Yeah.
pictures now, I'm like, where did all, like, I'm
Yeah.
very naturally a muscular, like,
Yes.
soccer legs.
Yeah.
I
And
love the way you look now
Oh, man.
compared to back
I'll
then.
show you pictures
It's the skinny
after.
fat. Like there's this term of
Yeah.
like skinny fat,
Yeah,
right? So you
yeah.
have high, like you have low body mass, but you have high fat percentage, like as a person that goes through these diets. So people always ask us like, oh, can I lose weight with Catalyst? I'm like,
Why would you?
yeah, exactly. So let's put this differently. So I today weigh 30 pounds more than when I started EMS training 10 years ago.
Right.
I was 180 pounds, and there's a picture of me that I found and dug up, like me in the studio with like the wires everywhere. And people say like, who's that skinny dude, right? So like, who's that guy? And at the same time, I've about 10% or like 8% less body fat than back then. And I can eat so much more because when you have muscles that are healthy, that first of all protecting your body, they're better for your hormone levels, they're better for your immune system, as you said. But also, there's a number called basal metabolic rate. So muscles burn energy even when you're lying flat on the ground. If you're like in coma for a day, your basal metabolic rate is still burning, like your body still needs that. So what we actually want is we want an inefficient body, because we have so good food today and we're like doing all these things. So the more we burn just away, the better we are. Basically, like, the better we can deal with our food and whatsoever. I'm not looking at what I'm eating. Like literally I don't. Like I literally eat what I want to eat. And I learned that over time. And like, yes, I'm not, having a, block of chocolate every day, of course, right?
Yeah,
So not that,
moderation,
right? But if I want something sweet, I eat something sweet. I'm like, fine, right? But looking at this like basal metabolic rate is like what Catalyst helps you do is build healthy muscle mass, right? And then everything else like triples down from that. And then there's just, I mean, we can talk 10 hours about like the different areas where it basically leads into, because it helps solving the fundamental issue of we don't have the stuff on our body that we actually need, which is healthy muscles. That's really what it is. And especially for women, that
Yeah.
really matters.
Yeah,
And
especially for osteoporosis. Like that's the huge factor that
Yeah.
I was
is that
just thinking
becomes-
that. Yeah,
bone
absolutely.
density increases with more muscle mass. for sure.
absolutely, yes. Generally, it's like the old wisdom is, and we have to work with the FDA to make claims around this. But what we've
Right.
seen in studies in Europe is the traditional wisdom was you have to load the bones with heavy weights. What we now know is if, for example, agonist and antagonist, let's say biceps, triceps, again in this example, are both pulling at the same time, there's still a stress on the bone, on the humerus in this case, right? There's still like that. And the more your body moves and the more activity there is, the more the muscle cells actually start calcification on the inside, which is really what you want.
Exactly.
And there's a study that I sometimes quote that they did in Germany and I think in Nuremberg at the university. They took a group of 75-year-old females through 1 year of EMS training every 4 days, so basically twice a week. And the first interesting number here is there was one dropout, and the dropout was she moved away.
Mm.
So first of all, like compliance was very, very high, which is like the first thing that's important if you have any types of activities, treatments, whatever you want to do. So the control group who did active, a little bit like active stuff, like water gymnastics, like whatever you do in that age, they lost about 0.6% bone density in their lower lumbar and femoral neck.
Mhm.
0.6%, which is the normal osteoporosis.
Yep.
The EMS group gained 0.6%. So you reverse it at that point in time,
Wow.
and the delta is 1.2%, right? It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like,
It's huge.
right? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
literally reversing aging. Like that's
Yeah.
literally the
Oh, for
definition of it, right?
anti-aging, yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
that's and when we talk about anti-aging, we always like try to stop it. Like,
Mhm.
I think you can improve it, right? So
Yeah.
today, I am a significantly better shape than I was 10 years ago. Like, first of all, I'm not on all these pills anymore. I'm literally not on pills anymore at all. And you can literally like solve so many of these issues. So
Yeah.
restriction diets, elimination diets, yes. Calorie restriction diets, like moderation, yes, but don't starve yourself.
Yeah.
You probably know this as well, like, or like, teach this as well. As you always have to eat your basal metabolic rate,
Always, yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
have to eat it, right? Otherwise you lose muscle mass,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I have like 2,560 or something like that. You probably have even more than me,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
yeah,
So I have
yeah.
like 2,560 calories that I burn a day. If I don't eat that, I lose muscle mass, right?
Right.
And last 3 weeks I was traveling so much. I literally lost like 3 pounds of muscle mass. Like, I was like horrible. Like, I was like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
You
right?
feel lethargic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
like-
not a good feeling. Yeah,
Right? It's like, I'm like,
you
whatsoever. So,
Yeah.
and I travel with like all these like beef sticks and like, protein bars. It's like
Yeah.
literally like, I have this bag with me and people are always laughing at me. I'm like, yeah. So I'm in conference rooms. Like I said, what are we going to have lunch? Oh yeah, maybe like, whoops. I just like, get my protein in, right?
Yeah,
Literally
for
that.
sure.
So, and if you then want to lose weight,
Mhm.
lose them through the active calories, right? Go for walks, go
Yeah.
for like, a run, whatsoever. So whatever active calories you have. So if you really want to change your lifestyle, going to a doctor that has a body composition scale, or do a DEXA scan. DEXA scans are not expensive anymore. The dosage is super low. The radiation dosage is like crazy low. I think you can do 50,000 DEXA scans a year to get the background radiation of Earth that you normally get. So
Yeah.
Really?
it's like you can totally do that, and find out what your basic metabolic rate is, right? Then you know what you have to eat
Yeah.
roughly. Get a feeling for it. Like, don't
Yeah.
count it, but get a feeling for it,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? And then you can make healthy changes
Yeah.
to your body composition, because that's all what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have healthy body composition, then you get stronger, then you get longer, right?
Yeah, that's
so
right,
like,
yeah.
it's like it's all related.
Very cool. I mean, we can go on forever on this
Yeah,
one, right?
Yeah,
I
we
think we
could.
have to wrap it up here.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So
it's another part,
Just,
yeah.
just as a wrap up, can
Yes.
you talk to us about the latest things that have just come out? I finally I've heard that I just downloaded yesterday.
Yeah. The
On-
mobile app.
Yeah, so we're now on iPhone. Yes, so we came up with an iPhone version, which has feature parity. So it's called like it can do the same stuff. It can do the same stuff that it would be doing.
Mhm.
My favorite with this is literally like AirPlay. literally
Yeah.
like you take it, put it to your
Yeah.
TV, and then
Yep.
just like use this as the remote control. But
Yeah.
basically train with the TV. Also nowadays, like many people might not even know that they have AirPlay because a lot of TVs have a software AirPlay
Built in.
embedded,
Yeah,
built
built
in,
in.
right?
Yeah.
So you can use that. iPhone for us is big, like for two reasons. Like customers that are traveling, like sometimes don't want to travel with their iPad. Some of them have it fixed installed on a stand in their gym, stuff like that.
And what I like about it is you can go on the field too to utilize it as well.
Yeah.
That way.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Walk the dog.
Yeah,
Do
Yeah,
the cardio.
Yeah, we
go
have
walk
done
the
this.
dog.
Yeah. We have people who hike with it and so on and so forth.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
So definitely that. We're gonna get something which is training plans, like playlists, so things that are like curated around,
Specific needs.
specific needs. Like,
Yeah.
I want to train for this, I want to train for that.
Yeah.
And then we curate basically like lists around this. And then you walk through this. What do you have?
Apple Watch. Oh.
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, that's exciting.
Stuff like that.
That's exciting.
That's coming up. Like things like these. So there's a lot of small things that are going to come up.
Yeah.
We're going to build favorites. So people have like their favorite lists.
Right. Trainers that
Yeah.
they enjoy.
And like, I like this workout. I'm going to do this like every Sunday or whatever.
Yeah.
like,
same.
right.
stuff like these. So there's a lot. There's a lot on the software side that's coming up. Very, very, very exciting around this.
And what about, if we were to, have a baseline of hydration
Mhm.
and nutrition, since, so if, let's say you have somebody who never works out in the gym,
Yes.
gets a suit,
Yes.
really enjoys it, does it 3 times a week like Brian,
Yes.
he's going to have to intake more protein.
Yes.
He's going to have to hydrate a lot more.
Hydrate doesn't mean water, right?
Salts.
Electrolytes. Yes, exactly.
Electrolytes.
Potassium,
That's it.
magnesium.
So we're going to need a minimum
Mhm.
requirement
Yeah.
to supplement your workouts.
Totally, 100%.
Okay.
I can't legally give nutrition advice for the
sure.
United States,
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So I
right.
can't do that.
Mhm.
I gave my personal opinions on this,
Yeah.
and there
Very
are products in the market. For example, here in this, there's a creatine, potassium, sodium, magnesium.
Mhm.
One of the big things, again, not advice, but what I do personally do is magnesium is the most scarce, or probably most
Deficient.
most deficient.
Deficient,
Yes,
yeah.
most deficient
Mineral.
one of mineral in the body.
Yeah.
So, for example, I have a tendency to high blood pressure.
Yeah.
My blood pressure got dropped probably down by like 10 points since I got really high on magnesium. So because magnesium is the electrolyte that makes the body muscle relax after, like, for example, if you have cramps, right? It's like because you're constantly contracting, like,
Yeah.
because your muscle can't contract anymore. Like the calcium chain is basically making the contraction of the muscle cells, and then you need to release it with the magnesium. So when people have like cramps, like they say, like, I need to take some more magnesium. But what it also does is your arteries and veins also have muscle tissue around it, so it also relaxes. So now I have like more blood flow, so you don't need that much blood pressure to have the same amount of blood flow. So there's just so many things,
Yeah.
and there's like
Wow.
very new stuff coming out, and I think you women talked about this. When you're under stress,
Mhm.
so all the adrenaline, the noradrenaline, whatsoever, has a magnesium atom in itself. But then also the relaxation aspects also need magnesium atoms. So that's basically a vicious cycle. So like when you're under stress, you use a lot of magnesium, but then the relaxation doesn't happen whatsoever. So magnesium is like take as much as magnesium until you basically get diarrhea. That's literally like
Wow.
that's the problem. Like if you have too much
Okay.
magnesium, like you have like
Interesting.
digestion issues.
Okay.
So I go really, really high on magnesium to really counter this potassium. Very important. When you're intermittent fasting, sodium helps me. When I am put it this way, when I am intermittent fasting,
It's all right.
sodium really
Yeah,
helps
yeah,
me
yeah.
to keep the water in the body, right? Because you don't have
Yeah.
food that keeps it, and so on and so forth. So otherwise, you're drinking in the morning, you have your coffee, and you just flush out all your electrolytes, and you don't want to do that.
I love Celtic salt for that.
Yes.
Celtic salt, yeah, with all the it has like 82 like minerals and vitamins in it.
Yeah.
And I put that in my water all the time. with
So
some
the pure
lime.
kosher salt that's
Yeah,
poison. Like
yeah.
that's really bad. Like you don't
Yeah.
want to have that.
Yeah.
And I believe personally some of the the notion of salt is bad was because if you just take natrium chloride, which is basic table salt,
Yeah.
and you don't have the other things, your body gets out of balance.
Balance.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you just have everything in the same balance, like whatever is
Mhm.
excessive, like the body just flushes out, like literally just gets that. So it's
Mhm.
all about balance. Like coming back to what I said earlier, nothing in extreme is good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
everything needs moderation.
Moderation.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
So, but you're absolutely right. So nutrition, hydration, and then good
Yeah.
exercise is really
So, if I look at when I grew up and I went through high school,
Mhm.
I mean, I was quarterback on the football team and I was on the hockey team and I played every sport in the book, but I never went to the gym. Going to the gym was just something you didn't do back in that
I played
day.
volleyball. We didn't go to the gym.
Didn't go to the gym.
Hmm.
Now, enter her and you go to university and moves there and what you're describing to me, the workouts that you're doing and then the training that you're doing on the field and everything else. I'm going, oh, why is she not in the hospital yet? It's just, it's crazy what you had to go through.
Yeah.
But it instilled an amazing discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And now you guys, I mean,
And a good foundation too,
Foundation.
right?
Yeah. So you develop those good habits of training yourself,
That's it.
Yeah.
maintaining that
that's it. Well,
healthy habits. So that
and
you're-
I've never had
I think
that.
youth competitive sport is highly beneficial for development of children.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it keeps you in the right places with
Yeah.
the right people,
Mhm.
and you don't get into trouble that way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Something that I appreciate about the suit too is I'm able to maintain that discipline in a way
Mhm.
because getting through an entire workout is not always easy, right? But you still have to like grind through it a little bit.
You're
and
on
then
it. Like you're on the ride. Like literally,
Yeah.
it's just 20 minutes, but for the 20 minutes you're on the ride.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that I appreciate because you can so easily be like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Oh, this is too hard. And I'm kind of that way in general. So I do have to consciously push myself and, make that effort and follow through with it. And I'm always obviously happy afterwards,
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
But like
yes,
in the
yeah,
moment, I'm
yeah.
like,
No, I sometimes hear my wife just like when I'm like in the next room where she's working out and it's like, like if she's like
Yeah.
really like grinding through it, and then afterwards he has her smile and comes to me, he's like,
Yeah.
and then he says like, who builds these machines? Like,
Yeah.
whatever. It's like,
I remember that one of the workouts that I did, I had, been able to continue the progression
Yeah.
of the intensity. And afterwards I was like, babe, I was able to do it at this intensity. And I was just like so fired up about it afterwards
Yeah.
because like,
Yeah.
it's hard. Sometimes it's hard for me to like push through those like uncomfortable sensations. And like with everything in life, right? It's, you have
It's
to
what-
be comfortable in the uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
and learning how to do that. And, even in speed sessions now, I'm able to sustain, my level of intensity way longer and I get more out of my speed sessions
It
now.
really showed up yesterday. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
It really showed up.
What
Like-
happened? What happened?
Well, when we did the photo shoot on the range yesterday to go along with the photo shoot that she did in the hotel room, these guys are pretty demanding. The crew here is like
Awesome crew.
they're slave drivers. Like, one more shot, right? So
What?
so I had to go back. I had to go back to the pro shop 3 times to get another bucket of balls.
Mhm.
And so Sav was just rifling through those things, and it's just like, wow, it's like one after the other. Just
Endurance.
I
pounding
felt
out there.
great after too. Like you were gassed, and I was like, I feel fine. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Right.
But yeah, it's
That's
really
it.
cool. And even like we've been doing house renovations for the past like month, nonstop, and we've been doing most of it ourselves. So, and even it's the little things, right? It's the everyday little things that
Yeah.
are so important to maintain like balance in your body because I mean, him and I, we were moving all of our heavy furniture. And at first I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to move this with you. And lo and behold, I'm like lifting these huge like units with him. And I'm like, dang, like I still got it. Like I'm still like, I still feel strong,
Yeah.
which is a really good feeling to have because, you take those everyday life things for granted and to be able to, as a woman, move things on your own and, feel strong independently and things like that. It's a really empowering feeling to have. And like, obviously it's nice having big muscles around to help when you don't want to do it, but it's it's the little things, like knowing that myself, like I can get around and move things if I have to, and be independent. Like that's
It's
empowering.
one of the most rewarding things for me as a teacher when somebody leaves the lesson and they feel so capable.
Yeah.
You go, I did that. I
Mhm.
can't believe I just did that,
Mhm.
right? And it's like hitting a home run,
Mhm.
and it's something everyone needs to experience.
I mean, when I hear you guys talk about yourself, your own journey, journey of some of your customers, like I'm always like, I always
Mhm.
feel so good about it because it's why I started this journey and what all our team is here for. And I had a conversation on Saturday night. I was at a conference, and it was basically not a conference. It was at a late party with a VC, and from a like was hosted by a VC, and I said again, this person joined, and this person joined, and this is what they did. He said, how are you getting all this talent? Like, how are you getting all these like amazing people? And I said, like, first of all, like, I think we're a cool team, and like people want to join the
Super
team.
cool.
Oh,
team.
yeah.
And then on the other hand, I also say it's like we're on a real mission here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
really like improving people's
Yeah.
lives. And I
Yeah.
always get teary, like, I always get emotional when I hear these
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's like, there are always like good times and bad times, and you have these like dark moments. But when you like
Yeah.
really know, like, why are you doing this? Okay,
Yeah.
because of these stories, right?
Mhm.
It's like you're really, really impacting people's lives. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing this.
Yeah, we
and,
appreciate your hard work, man.
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel very blessed. I'm able to, like, together with our
Yeah.
team, like really empower these stories.
It's been
and
such a pleasure working with your team. I mean, everybody that you have on your team are genuinely
That's-
amazing people.
That's because of this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surrounding himself with the best people.
Mhm.
And you can always tell when somebody's in it for the paycheck versus when they're in it to legitimately help people and they get high on helping people, of being in service,
Yeah.
right? And
yeah, I mean,
that's
care is our first company value. We have like
That's
3
right.
company values: care, understand, and lead.
Yeah.
So we care for each other, and we care for our customers, and we
Yeah.
also care for details.
yes,
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
it's
important.
like,
Yeah.
care.
I always say, like, I lose my citizenship if I don't, right? So if my attention to detail is too low, I lose my citizenship.
It's good
So-
motivation.
right? So at least my German one. So then understand. It's like really,
Yeah.
why is this? Like, or why is this person successful? Or why is this person struggling? Like really,
Mhm.
really going down
Curiosity.
really understand,
Yeah.
and then lead by example, right? So yeah, if we don't do it, we can't expect it from anyone else. So
Yeah.
The understanding part is major. I mean, that's something that I appreciate the most about Moo and I's relationship, is that we have that deep understanding of one another and the willingness to always have that understanding and learn more about each
Beautiful.
other. And that, I think, is like
Yep.
one of my favorite things about our
I mean,
relationship.
coming back to finite and infinite games, right?
Yeah.
So a relationship is a
Infinite.
Infinite.
infinite game, right? So
Yeah.
what's the goal? Stay in the game,
Stay in the
right?
game.
Yeah.
So when we get into a stressful moment,
35 years. Still going.
15,
Beautiful.
but yeah. So when we're getting into these stressful moments,
Mhm.
we all tend to get into fight mode. right?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
winning, right?
The competitiveness.
Okay, then in that moment, you are in which game? Finite game,
Finite game.
right?
Yeah.
You're trying to win and you want the other to lose.
Mhm.
Not good for a relationship.
No.
Not good for a relationship, right? So stay in the finite game all times in your life, right? There are moments where you like fight, great,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like if someone wants to mug you on the street, now you get into a finite game, right? You finish the game, right? For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like in relationships, in health, in life,
Yeah.
and it's not just your
Wow.
personal like marriage. It's like relationship with your friends, right? So
Mhm.
people have good times, they have bad times, whatsoever.
That's
But you
right.
want to stay in the game.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for that. That was very, it's you can't. It's repetition, repetition, repetition.
yeah.
Right.
And I still
that's
have my
why
3
it's-
talking points. Always the same talking points. Like it's boring, but they work.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They need to be brought back to light on a regular and consistent basis, right? Habit.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's the habits.
Yeah.
Right?
The
Yeah.
healthy habits.
So with that, everybody, I think it's a great way to end. Again, amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Yeah.
having me. This was
Yeah.
this was
This
delightful.
is awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks, Bjorn.
All right, everybody.
All the best.
Take
Have
care.
an awesome time.